Hi folks. During your course, there will be some lab activities in which I ask you to put your data into graphs so that you can visually look at differences and assess what your data is telling you. I know that some people will have never been exposed to graphs in Word before. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to insert your own data into the graphs that I provide on the Moodle site. And then in part 2, I will show you how to create your own graphs so that if you have to do it for a course where the graphs are not provided, you'll be able to do so. For an assignment, you may get a table like this that's blank, so all of this information will be what you fill in on your own. And then I'll give you a graph like this. You can see that this data is all set at the same rate. So what I want you to do is insert this data into these charts that I have here. How you get started to overwrite the data on this is you bring your mouse over the chart that you want to adjust and you click on it. So now you can see that it's highlighted this graph of data. Now I'm going to use the right click on my mouse and go to Edit Data. That brings up this little Excel chart here that has all the data that I put into it. So you can see pH, EC or electrical conductivity, and temperature. And then you can see I've written station 1 and station 2. This chart here is being created from this data set. So you can see I set them all to 5 just so that you can see the columns before you put in your own information. So what you'll do is you'll go to your own chart. So here station 1 is 8.1. So I'm just going to click on that box with my mouse and type in 8.1 on my keyboard. And then I'm going to go to station 2, which is 6.9. And you can see that the first column has already changed. And it adjusts these numbers based on what the top of the range is. So for station 2, I'm going to put in 6.9. I hit enter, and then this first one is set. So now these are my 2 pieces of data for pH. I'll do the same for EC. So 1.8 here and 0.9. And then temperature will be 14 and then 15. So I hit enter. I can hit the X button if I don't want to see this chart anymore, if I'm done. And now you can see that these are adjusted according to this data. So now you can see the pH dropped a little bit from station 1 to 2. The EC dropped a little bit from 1 to 2. And the temperature rose a little bit from 1 to 2. Now you can think about why those differences may be. Now going over to dissolved oxygen, it's the same thing. So you click on the graph, right click, go down to edit data, and again a little chart comes, and then you just look at your numbers here, 6.3 and 7.5. Hit enter, close your chart down so you don't see it, and there you go. You've got the differences in dissolved oxygen from station 1 to station 2. Same thing for graph 3. I right click, I go to edit data. Okay, I'm going to put my turbidity in, so 55. Okay, so no, see how I messed up this data here. So what I can do is I can hit Control Z, which is the undo button. Or if you don't want to do the Control Z, you can also go up to this button, which undoes your last action. Okay, so I'm going to put in my turbidity, which is 55 and 29, hit enter, and then close down my chart. And there we go, we've got our data, and now we're ready to analyze it. Okay, for part 2, if you've stayed with me this far, I'm going to show you how to create your own graph. In a lab or class, you've created a data set and your teacher wants you to show you the differences in a graph. Word will walk you through that. So if I'm going to put a graph here and say exactly this, the instructor wants me to show the turbidity difference between station 1 and station 2. I go into insert here on the top, if you can see where my mouse is, and then I go into chart. And it gives me lots of options for chart. I've chosen the column chart here, but you can choose pie, bar charts. You can choose all sorts of types. There are also, once you choose the chart, you can choose fancy versions of it. I prefer to keep it simple unless there's a particular reason to go fancier, but it depends on what kind of data you're showing. So for this one, I'm going to stick to the basic clustered column. Hit OK, and it puts this blank data in here. So now I can adjust it to whatever I want. I want my first one to be station 1. So I just click on that box, type in station 1. And then if I hit the tab button, it takes me to the next one, or you can just click over there with your mouse. And I'm going to type in station 2. And it generally gives you 3 columns here and 4 rows. I only have 2 stations, so all I do is I right click on this column here and I can delete it. And you can see now that it's gotten rid of the 3rd option on here. So now for my categories, all I want to do on this graph is show turbidity. So I'm going to say turbidity. And then again, I'm just going to delete the rows that I don't want, and you can see them disappearing on the chart below. Okay, so now I've got my 2 turbidity for station 1, station 2. Now I just go in and enter my data. So I'm going to delete that. You can see the purple is the bottom here. Station 1, station 2 are the labels for the 2 columns. And then I put in my data in these blue boxes, 55 and 29, hit enter, and you can see now my chart is just like the other one I did. All right, that's the basics of it. You can play around with different kinds of charts, right? I can click on the type of chart up here or the layout of the chart. All right, and there it is. Good luck.